In today's video, I'm going to go over how we got this console mounted on this Classic Boston Whaler Montauk 17. We used a different technique, and I think you'll appreciate it. So stay tuned, keep watching. You'll see how we got it done. Before we do that, hit the subscribe button so you get notifications of future videos that I put up. Alright, so let me explain exactly what the plan is on how I'm going to mount this console. For one thing, let me start with this. I'm going to use these toggles. They're actually quite ingenious. They'll go right in there through a 1/4 inch hole, and once you get them up and snug, you slide this down, snap them off, and you've got a nice big piece of stainless steel underneath the deck holding everything up. So that's the plan. I found out about these recently and I thought I'd give them a shot. But the key thing is, how are we going to mount this? I've got these 1.5 by 1.5 1/4 inch L brackets. They're aluminum and they're 26 inches long and they fit exactly inside the console front to back. So these are going to go on the inside. I'll give you some close-ups later. Now what I'm going to do, the teak that goes on the outside should line up with these holes. Let's get that right. I'm going to put a bolt through the teak, through the aluminum, bolt everything together. We'll use the 5 bolts, use the original holes that are in here, and get both sides mounted. Then we're going to use these toggles to mount it to the deck. So let me go ahead and get started, because the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use this old cleat, I guess you could call it, which was used to mount the console originally, as a guide as to where not to drill the holes. I don't want to reuse the old holes. I've filled those up, I've epoxied them, so I'm going to make some new ones. We'll go with 4 on each side. Stainless steel bolts that I'm using are 1/4 by 20, and I think the shear strength on those is like 900 pounds each. So you know, 8 times 900, 3,200 pounds shear strength. I think there should be plenty. Anyway, I hope it is. But let me go ahead and get started, and you'll see what I'm doing in a minute here. So one of the first things I'm going to do is mark the bottom mounting holes on these and drill them out to 3/8. The bolts are 1/4. I want to keep it close as possible to the bolts. I'll do 3/8. I'll draw a line centering this, and then I'm going to mark it using the oak cleat as a reference. Let me go ahead and get that done. I'm also going to mark these as port bow, starboard bow, so we're going to differentiate the right from the left, the port from the starboard right off the bat. I know I said 4 before, but honestly I'm going to go with 5. I've got the toggle bolts for it. I'm going to start with one right in the middle at 13 inches since this is 26. Let's look at where these sit. I want to avoid, so I'll probably go up right around there, right around there. That'll put a lot more strength towards the front and the back, I think, which is, I think, where most of the stress will occur. So, having said that, let's do a 6.5. And it's well away from the other old holes. 6.5. And I'm going to do one on the outer edges. Hopefully it won't be too close to these. So about 1 inch. Alright, that'll give me the 5. I'm going to go ahead and get the other one done. Then I'm going to get these drilled out. Alright, so I got these all drilled out, ready to go. So let's go back out to the console and get these mounted. Alright, so I'm getting ready to attach the L bracket to the starboard side. I've already done the port side. One of the things I discovered was that a 1/4 inch by 1.5 is too thick, because the screw holes end up coming out very close to the bottom here. So I have to do a little mill work. If I were doing this again, I'd probably go with 1/8 or certainly something thinner than a 1/4 inch. I went with a 1/4 inch just because bigger is better. And you can't argue that it's stronger than anything lesser. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do that. The way I'm going to do this, I'm going to put it on the inside, flush it up against the wood. I'm going to drill one out, mount it, drill the other side out, mount that, temporarily mount it with bolts. That way I can get the 3 in the middle drilled out. Start with this one. So it's got a good start. I'm going to go ahead and finish it outside. It's just easier. Now I'm going to temporarily mount it so we can fix this one, get a mark or start. Alright, I've got the starter marks on this. I'm going to take these off to the drill press so it's a lot easier to get these drilled out. I'm going to do a little bit of mill work on it, and then we'll come back and see if we can get it mounted. Alright, so I got through drilling the holes out. I actually have milled these out so that there's room for the screw, the washer, and the nut. Not my greatest example of milling, but it'll do the job. This was not precision to 1/1000th of an inch. It was more eyeballing it. And but again, if I had gone with an 1/8 inch or even a thinner L bracket, I think I wouldn't have had to do that. So let me go ahead and get this mounted. Yo, good morning. All right. I'm gonna have to wait till I get an assistant because, quite honestly, I can't reach and underneath that L bracket and get the washer and the nut on and hold it while I'm screwing it down at the same time. So we're going to go ahead and get this done, and then we'll mount the console to the boat, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Alright, so the aluminum L brackets are on. We actually have put this in the boat. We haven't installed it yet. That's what we're going to do at this point. If you look down here, I've installed the cooler cleats temporarily, and that's just to give us a marking point, if you will, as to where to set the console. It's going to be centered on either side of those cleats, and also probably about 1/4 inch away from them. So here we go. Let's get started. I'll show you exactly how we're going to mount this to the boat. Alright, so we've got the console placed exactly where it's going to be affixed, and what I'm going to do is mark the holes in the aluminum brackets, which is where we need to drill the 1/2 inch holes. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. So one of the things I do have is this wet erase marker, and that's actually going to help me keep everything lined up and allow me to erase it if I should desire to later. I'm going to mark each of these holes. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to gently lift the console up, place it on cardboard because those aluminum brackets could scratch up the gel coat wherever we place it. We're going to drill those holes out, prepare them, use the toggle bolts, And we'll go ahead and film all that and show you how I'm going to do it. Alright, so we've got the mountain holes clearly marked. These other holes are filled in. The epoxy receded a little bit, but I did fill those up with epoxy, so they should be nice and sealed up. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and put some marine sealant when I end up closing this up in those holes, just to make sure. Start this off with this bit. Make sure it's on center. Alright, now I'm going to come back and do this with a 1/2 inch. Alright, so this is a 1/2 inch bit, and that's what's required. Yep, that'll work. Yep. So I'm going to be using this Allen wrench to carve out some of the foam. And the reason for that is we want this to be able to open up inside and grab the bottom. So getting it in here is half the fun. So one thing I wanted to point out, when you're coring out these holes, of course get your drill bit or your Allen wrench in there. Make sure when you're spinning it at high speed that it goes up against the plywood. You want as much of that clear as foam as possible. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go around the edge while slowly going up and down at a high speed. And that should give me enough room so that that toggle bolt expands correctly. Alright, once we got these things cored out, time to vacuum. So I don't know if you noticed, but you really got to work the vacuum, and a long pair of needle nose helps, because the chunks of foam that are broken up are, some of them pretty big, and they won't come up through the hole. They'll come up to the hole, but not quite through it. So just getting those things out is important, so that the toggle bolts have a way to expand. I'm gonna put these toggles in. Really neat thing about these is I'm gonna go alternating. Like that, then like that, then like that, or I might just go like that. It just depends. A lot of it depends on the foam inside of there and what it's going to let me do. But you can push these in, and this is why we cleared a lot of that foam out, because we want this to straighten out. There we go. There we go. That bolt actually now has just opened up, or excuse me, the toggle has opened up in there. We can take this. That's the secret. Core these things out really good, and they'll open right up and give you the capability to set them in place like so. Alright, so at this point we're getting ready to set the console down, but before I do that, we're going to apply some of this marine adhesive from Loctite right around the bolt holes, and I'll actually apply some more once we get the console set on there. The whole idea is that once we get the console set on there, the aluminum L bracket's going to flatten this out, give it a nice seal, prevent any water from getting in. At least that's the plan. All right, the next step is using 2 people, 1 on either side. We're going to lift that console up and do our best to place it down exactly where the bolt holes are. It's one of the reasons we marked everything out with the water race marker. If we do this right, we'll have the holes centered exactly over the bolt holes, and we should be all right and good to go. So we'll see. Let's go ahead and do that. Right? Yeah. And then
actually, I can see my holes on my side through this door.
Just lift it up.
Oh, mine almost spot on.
I think we're spot on.
It's pretty much on the board. Yeah, there you go.
All right, so you saw how we got the console attached. We're really pleased with the way this came out. This isn't going anywhere. I don't want to take it out because I don't want to go through that again. But I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I really hope it's been helpful to you. If it has, hit share and like. And don't forget to subscribe. Hit that button right there. Thanks for watching.